Empty your mind, a Zen tale. In a small village nestled among the rolling hills, there lived a young man named Samuel. Samuel was known throughout the village for his restless mind. He was always thinking, analyzing, and worrying about the past and the future. His mind was constantly cluttered with thoughts, and he could never find peace. One day, Samuel heard about a renowned Zen master who lived on top of a distant mountain. The master was said to possess the secret to finding inner peace and tranquility. Intrigued, Samuel decided to embark on a journey to seek the wisdom of the Zen master. The call for silence. Samuel was tired of the constant noise in his mind. The stress of daily life, his anxiety about what the future held, and his guilt over past mistakes had begun to take a toll on his well-being. He felt trapped in his thoughts, as though he was constantly running but never reaching peace. The idea of a Zen master who could help him find inner peace intrigued him. He needed to find a way to quiet his restless mind. The journey to find the Zen master was long and difficult. Samuel walked for many days through dense forests, across rushing rivers, and up steep mountainsides. With each step, his mind seemed to grow more chaotic, as though the journey itself was amplifying his inner turmoil. The more he tried to focus on his goal, the more his thoughts seemed to pull him away from the present moment. Finally, after several days of traveling, Samuel reached the foot of the mountain where the Zen master lived. The path to the summit was steep, but Samuel pushed on, driven by a deep desire for peace. At the top of the mountain, he found a small temple surrounded by a serene garden. The air was thick with the scent of pine and the distant hum of bees. Sitting outside the temple was the Zen master, his eyes closed in deep meditation. Meeting the Zen master, Samuel approached the master and bowed respectfully. "Master," he said, "I have come seeking your guidance. My mind is restless and I yearn for peace. Can you teach me how to empty my mind?" The Zen master opened his eyes and looked at Samuel with a gentle smile. "Empty your mind, you say? Very well, I will teach you," he replied, his voice calm and serene. He led Samuel to a small courtyard with a beautiful garden in the center. At the heart of the courtyard was a large stone basin filled to the brim with water. The Zen master picked up a ladle and dipped it into the basin. He poured the water into a smaller bowl, then looked at Samuel and said, "Your task is to empty this basin. You must transfer all the water into this smaller bowl without spilling a single drop." Samuel stared at the task in disbelief. How could he possibly empty the entire basin using such a small bowl? The challenge seemed impossible, but he decided to accept it. Without another word, he began scooping the water from the basin, pouring it into the smaller bowl. He worked for hours, but no matter how hard he tried, the basin remained full. Frustration began to build inside him, and his mind grew even more restless. The lesson in patience. The Zen master observed Samuel's struggle with a compassionate gaze. He walked over and gently placed his hand on Samuel's shoulder. "Samuel, my dear student," the master said softly, "you are trying so hard to empty the basin, but you have forgotten the first and most important step. To empty the basin, you must first empty your mind." Samuel looked at the master, his eyes full of confusion. "But how do I empty my mind, master?" he asked. The master smiled warmly and said, "Let go of your worries, your fears, and your attachments. Focus only on the task at hand. Be fully present in this moment, and everything else will follow." Samuel took a deep breath and closed his eyes. He began to let go of his frustration and allowed himself to be present in the moment. For the first time, he stopped thinking about the task and just focused on each scoop of water. He noticed the sound of the water as it splashed into the bowl and felt the coolness of the liquid against his hands. Slowly, his mind began to quiet. The power of presence. As Samuel focused on the simple act of transferring water from one bowl to another, something miraculous began to happen. His mind started to clear. Each scoop became easier and each movement more fluid. With every drop of water, the basin seemed to empty itself with less effort. Samuel had entered a state of flow. His mind, once filled with endless thoughts, now felt calm and centered. The more he focused on the task, the more effortlessly the water flowed. Hours passed, and Samuel finally poured the last drop of water from the basin into the small bowl. He looked at the Zen master, a sense of amazement and gratitude filling his heart. "You see, Samuel," the master said, "when you empty your mind, you allow the universe to flow through you. You become one with the task at hand, and everything falls into place." The wisdom of the Zen master. Samuel sat down, reflecting on what the master had said. He realized that true peace did not come from trying harder or forcing things to happen. True peace came from letting go of his need for control, of his attachment to the past and the future, and of his constant worrying. He had been trying so hard to fill his mind with solutions, with answers, with plans. But in reality, the key to peace was in emptying his mind of all the clutter and allowing himself to simply be. The Zen master continued, "When your mind is empty, you are open to the wisdom of the universe. You become more aware, more present, and more connected to everything around you. Peace is not something you search for, it is something you make space for." Samuel understood now that peace was not something to be achieved through effort or force. It was something that arose naturally when he let go of his constant striving and allowed his mind to settle. His journey was not just about reaching the Zen master, it was about discovering the stillness that had always been within him. The return home. After several days of learning from the Zen master, Samuel returned to his village. But he was no longer the same person. His mind was quieter and his heart was at peace. He had learned that the secret to peace was not in seeking external answers, but in creating space within himself to allow peace to flow naturally. Back in the village, people noticed the change in Samuel. He no longer seemed burdened by his thoughts or worries. He was present in every moment, enjoying the simple joys of life. When others asked him how he had changed, Samuel would share the wisdom he had learned from the Zen master. To empty your mind is to create space for peace. The mind that is filled with thoughts, worries, and distractions can never be still. But when you let go of everything, you create the space for peace to enter. He became known as the one who had discovered the secret to inner peace, and people would come to him for advice. But Samuel never spoke about his journey with pride. Instead, he simply shared the lesson that had changed his life. Peace comes not from filling your mind, but from emptying it. The ongoing practice. Over time, Samuel continued to practice what he had learned. Each day, he would take a moment to empty his mind, letting go of any unnecessary thoughts, worries, or fears. And each day, he found that his life became more peaceful, more present, and more joyful. The wisdom of the Zen master had transformed him, and he carried that wisdom with him wherever he went. Though the road to peace was not always easy, Samuel had learned that the key to tranquility lay in being present in the moment and letting go of the need for control. He had learned that the mind, when left unchecked, could create endless distractions and restlessness. But when the mind was emptied of unnecessary clutter, true peace could emerge. And so, Samuel's journey was not just a one-time experience, it was a lifelong practice. He continued to teach others the importance of emptying their minds and being present. And as more people followed his example, the village began to transform. It became a place of peace where the noise of the world faded away and the serenity of the present moment took center stage. Final thoughts. The story of Samuel and the Zen master serves as a powerful reminder that peace is not something we find outside ourselves, but something that exists within us. By emptying our minds of distractions, fears, and worries, we create the space for true tranquility to emerge. When we stop striving and let go, we allow ourselves to experience the beauty and serenity of the present moment. And in that stillness, we find the peace we have always been seeking.